Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Living It Up with Louie B. I appreciate you guys coming through. I got a real good one for y'all today. As you guys know, I love to mod. It has been one of my biggest hobbies that I'm passionate about ever since I was a kid. So there I was, playing the Nintendo 64, hanging out with Mario, and I'm checking out the cartridge, and I'm like, man, what can I do with this thing? I know there's something that I could do to mod it, to make it better, to make it my own, you know? So check out the video because I think you guys are gonna like it. It is very unique in its own right. And if you want to do it, it is an instructional video. So by all means, please go ahead and follow along and do your own mod. It is really awesome when you create a design and it comes to life and it's just absolutely perfect and it's your own way. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the video. Wow, look at this throwback right here. The good old Super Mario 64. Well, we got something really fun in store for you. We're gonna be combining it with this USB hub. Now, there's really not much to this USB hub. It's actually a really simple design. To disassemble it, you gotta take out the rubber feet and then take out all the screws. When performing this mod, you want to pick an applicable USB hub. The reason I chose this one was because of its size. It's relatively small in length, and I knew that it would fit inside the Nintendo 64 cartridge. This particular USB hub was actually not really expensive. It was only about $6 on Amazon, and it is rated for USB 3.0 speeds. It's actually quite a good deal considering. Now that we got the PCB board free, you can see that it fits pretty well inside the Nintendo 64 cartridge mold. Now we just gotta do a couple of cuts and shavings along the way so the board can fit perfectly. Of course, while we're doing all the cutting and shaving, you know we gotta go to the fun fact segment. Starting with fun fact number 1, did you know that the Nintendo 64 cartridges varied in sizes from 4 megabytes to 64 megabytes? To compare with something that we use every day, an average song in an MP3 file format is about 3 to 4 megabytes. This means that the games that we love so dearly were either the size of one song or potentially 16 songs. With that said, the Super Mario 64 game was only 8 megabytes, while GoldenEye 007 was only 12 megabytes. Isn't that crazy? After all the precise cutting and shaving, let's see if the board fits. Perfect, fits like a glove. At this point, we're gonna transition on making the hole on the side of the cartridge for the cable. When we're drilling this hole, we gotta make sure we meet the size specifications correctly. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I think it's time for fun fact number 2. At the time, competitors like PlayStation held a strong position in the market because of the size of the CDs. The Nintendo 64 cartridge could potentially be as big as 64 megabytes, whereas the PlayStation CD was as big as 700 megabytes. Because of this, certain developers such as Square Enix switched to PlayStation. Final Fantasy VII is a great example of this because it was originally planned for the Nintendo 64. Not very many new games were being released for the Nintendo 64 because of this hindrance. However, strong games like Super Mario 64 and GoldenEye 007 kept it very afloat. Now that we finished drilling, we need to make sure that the cable fits inside the newly drilled hole perfectly, or if we need to make the hole bigger. And after taking a good look at it, it seems that the cable fits just perfect. Next, we're going to create a bracket for the PCB board. I will be using the plastic that came with the USB hub. What we're going to do is that we're going to cut it to size, and then we're going to slice a slit in the middle of it so that we can slide it on the PCB board. Alright, check this out. I bet I can read your mind. You want super fun fact number 3. I got you. So, one great advantage that the Nintendo 64 cartridge had was the very fast loading times in comparison to CD games. At the time, CD-ROM drives did not have fast enough reading speeds to instantly load the game. This is why the PlayStation had various loading screens and the Nintendo 64 typically had none. So if you were to compare Resident Evil 2 for the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation, you will notice that the PlayStation version had various loading screens, and the Nintendo 64 version were either very quick or didn't have any at all. But to be fair, the Nintendo 64 version did lack a little bit in graphical details. We have now finished creating our bracket and went ahead and slid it on the back of the PCB board. We're currently checking to make sure that it seats properly or if we need to make more adjustments. However, after a quick inspection, it fits perfectly. With the bracket complete, we will now transition into adding silicone to the Nintendo 64 cartridge. This will act as a glue to keep the PCB board in place and leveled. I gotta tell you, I really like using silicone because it dries very quickly, it's easy to mold, it's not very messy, and it's not conductive, so it's perfect for electronic use. So please do consider this if you ever need an electronically safe adhesive for your projects. Alright, enough with the cartridge, let's work on our LED lights. We're going to solder a 430 ohm resistor to the LED bulb. The LED bulb is rated for 3.4 volts and the USB hub is pushing out over 4 volts. The resistor is going to reduce that voltage to safe parameters. Next, we will be working on soldering the LED bulb to the PCB board by cutting the right amount of wire, soldering it to the bulb, insulating it, and then soldering that wire to the PCB board. Oh shoot, hey, quickly look behind you. It's super fun fact number 4. Nintendo 64 cartridges had another great advantage at the time. It was typically difficult and expensive to duplicate Nintendo 64 cartridges, making piracy much harder. This was not the case with CD-ROM based consoles. For example, there are various ways to play a CD-burned PlayStation game, the most notable one being the installation of a mod chip, which were very popular and accessible. However, unauthorized devices were later developed with cartridge piracy intent, but they were rare to come across in comparison to the aforementioned method for the PlayStation. With the wires fully prepped, it is now time to solder them to the power source. I will be using a blue wire to indicate the positive polarity and a black wire to indicate the negative polarity. To hold the LED bulb firmly in place, I will be using the super duper trusty silicone as an adhesive. I'm telling you, once this thing dries, that LED bulb ain't going nowhere. You can shake it, you can toss it, play frisbee with it, and it will still stay in place. After letting the silicone cure and dry for a couple of hours, it is time to inspect the final product to make sure that everything is in place and good to go. Everything looked excellent during the inspection, ultimately giving us the green light to put the Nintendo 64 cartridge back together. And here it is, our Super Mario 64 USB hub mod. Ain't it a thing of beauty? Let's go on and give it a test. And now for the moment of truth. So in order for us to call this mod a success, we have to make sure that the LED lights work as well as the USB drives. Man, look at those LED lights just shining out of the cartridge like that. They look absolutely amazing. This mod really went very well. The lights almost make it look like there's a portal to another dimension or something inside the cartridge. That or Mario's just having a big old banger in there. So now let's go ahead and test the USB drives. making sure that they register correctly. It is clear that the USB drives are working properly. And with that, we're gonna call this mod a huge success. And with that success, I just want to give you guys a huge thank you for coming through and checking out the content. If you liked what you saw here, please hit that subscribe button. I would truly appreciate it. And feel free to check out the other content on my channel. I got a bunch of other projects and goodies for y'all. Once again, thanks for stopping by. Please take care. And this is Louie B signing out.